Hello everyone, in this video I'll be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Shahbaz Gill to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let's go through the key developments and insights in Shahbaz Gill's words. The biggest news of the day, PMLN or Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz is under fire, and the one targeting them is none other than Field Marshal ASIM Munir. Yes, senior Pakistani journalists are now reporting that Field Marshal ASIM Munir has issued orders for corruption files to be compiled against top political leaders of the PMLN and their favoured bureaucrats, and that they are to be sacrificed. But this isn't the first time such a sacrifice is happening. It happens every time. The army chief always sacrifices his own partners in crime first. And now it seems the Field Marshal has made that same decision. Why do army chiefs always go after their own allies first? I'll analyse that in a moment. But first, let me lay out the facts of this news. This story actually owes a bit of credit to us as well, but we'll set that aside for now. Yesterday, Mohammed Malik broke this news on Pakistani television, so we credit him. After that, I'll explain where our part comes in. He didn't mention the Field Marshal by name, but all indicators clearly pointed toward him. He said that the SIFC, which is Field Marshal ASIM Munir's brainchild or love child, whatever you want to call it, has failed. You already know how badly all of its initiatives have failed. The promised 100 billion, 25 billion each from Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar and Kuwait, has delivered nothing. Zilch, zero. Or as they say in German, null. Many other projects under the SIFC, like the Green Initiative, have also failed. Just like Field Marshal Munir's entire political narrative has collapsed, so has his SIFC. According to Mohammed Malik, once the Field Marshal analysed the situation, he concluded that PMLN's government and its bureaucrats were sabotaging the SIFC. He got angry and gave the green light. Load your guns, in other words, make corruption files on them. And those files have now been compiled. Let's hear exactly what Mohammed Malik said, and then I'll provide a spicy analysis and explain where this all started and where it may end. First, listen to this. I want to share some big news with you. Two extremely dangerous lists are being prepared. One of them involves a very important individual who held two meetings in June and July. During the June meeting, while discussing other matters, a revelation came up that more than 200 billion rupees in corruption has occurred in the past 2 to 3 years. This is linked to development funds given to parliamentarians, MNAs, senators, MPAs, and a lot of corruption has been reported. Some institutions have also been implicated. Now, one list includes politicians, bureaucrats, and all the contractors involved in these dubious schemes. Initially, 500 cases have been identified from which strong recoveries can be made. The initial recovery target is 500 billion rupees. If they can recover that amount, it would be considered a success. So now you'll have to dive into your memory files. A few weeks ago, a very credible journalist from Islamabad, whose name we can't share, told us this exact same thing. That was about 2 months ago, and based on that tip, we gave you an analysis. Let me remind you of that. We did the analysis the day the 10 trillion rupee corruption story broke, reported by Ansar Abbasi. The allegation was that under Maryam Nawaz, a 10 trillion rupee corruption took place in Punjab. Remember? We told you that day. This news was planted by the generals themselves, because Ansar Abbasi only reports what the generals want. The story about 10 trillion rupees was a narrative crafted by them. We said at that time that this is being orchestrated. Now, PMLN is in the crosshairs. We also analysed how suddenly sugar and wheat scandals were being pushed. The idea was to build a corruption narrative around PMLN and sacrifice them politically. And now, 6 to 8 weeks later, Mohammed Malik is confirming all of that with precision. So credit should also go to our journalist friend from Islamabad who tipped us off. Now let's go further. You already know the SIFC failed, and corruption is the main focus now. But the real story isn't about SIFC. That was already failing, just like the general's political narrative. The real issue lies elsewhere, and for that, let's examine the revolutionary and perhaps even drunk-sounding tweets of Khawaja Asif. In a previous vlog, we told you that Khawaja Asif has turned against bureaucrats. He accuses them of corruption and of transferring money to Portugal to obtain citizenship and escape. We also told you the background. Between 11 p.m. and 3 or 4 a.m., Khawaja Asif tends to get drunk and emotional, tweeting things like, "I'm still alive, let me live," and so on. Those drunk tweets often reveal the truth, things he wouldn't dare say in daylight. Now, journalists in Pakistan are reporting the real reason Khawaja Asif is angry. His pet, the ADCR of Sialkot, has been arrested, and during the investigation, he admitted to major corruption and has even led to some recoveries. Khawaja Asif wanted him released, but instead the situation escalated. In response, Khawaja Asif offered his resignation, threatening Shahbaz Sharif. Nawaz Sharif doesn't want him to resign, but the guest in Rawalpindi, the field marshal soon to retire in a few months, says, accept the resignation. Same with Rani Sahib in Lahore, she says accept it. But Nawaz from Jati Umrah says not yet, it'll create more problems. Journalists now report that Khawaja Asif is deeply entangled because the arrested ADCR has revealed a lot, including details of Asif's corruption. Time will reveal the truth and how much of this is real. But this is what's currently being reported. Now finally, let me explain. There's a method to this madness. When the edible oil scandal came up recently, and before that the sugar scandal, and before that the wheat scandal, all of these weren't random. They were engineered by the generals. Why? As I said, here's the analysis. Our generals use people like tissue paper. When they become a liability, they throw them away. They've done it before. And now they feel PMLN has become a liability. In other words, the dirty work that the generals and PMLN did together, the generals now want to dump all the blame on PMLN and wash their own hands. Just like you pour a lot of water to wash something away, they now want to wash away PMLN from their image. They want to pin all the bloodstains from the crime scene on PMLN's neck and rebrand themselves as clean. The real question now is, who will be the first target? Is it Khawaja Asif, who's already panicking? Or will there be a wider purge involving more politicians and bureaucrats? Because, based on the list being compiled, it's not just one or two people. It's a long list. Bureaucrats, contractors and politicians, all involved in development funds, corruption, project kickbacks, and more. What we're witnessing is a carefully constructed narrative, one that begins by portraying the generals as clean and patriotic, while projecting their former political partners as corrupt and disposable. And this isn't new. This is standard operating procedure for the Pakistani establishment. Every time a government nears the end of its usefulness, the same pattern is repeated. Financial scandals are leaked through friendly journalists, bureaucrats and politicians are smeared. The army's image is cleaned up before the next power shift. This time it seems PMLN is being made the scapegoat for all the failed initiatives, especially the SIFC, which was supposed to be a major investment magnet but produced zero results. So instead of accepting the failure, the establishment is putting the blame on the government and its bureaucracy. Let's be honest, this is not about accountability. It's about damage control. The generals want to wipe the slate clean before they hand over to the next set of acceptable politicians, or perhaps take a more direct route through technocrats or a hybrid model. Whatever the outcome, we know one thing for sure. There is no such thing as loyalty in this game. Today's allies are tomorrow's liabilities. And when that shift happens, corruption is always the easiest weapon to use. The army remains the same, only the faces around it change. So in the coming weeks, we will see more leaked documents, more dramatic headlines, more resignations, and maybe even a few arrests. Whether it's Khawaja Asif or others remains to be seen. But, you know, this playbook has been used many times before, and it's being executed again with textbook precision. So, stay alert, because this isn't the end. It's just the beginning of another clean-up act, to preserve the image of those who believe they alone can define patriotism and rule without question. Inside, even for Field Marshal Sahib, things are not easy. He's trying to run this entire vehicle with a spare tyre. Actually, all 4 tyres are spares. Swapping them out quickly isn't in his control. But if he's made up his mind to impose martial law in practice, if he wants to keep running the system like this, then the question is, who will he find as a substitute if he forces the PMLN's exit? The situation is tough, but one thing is clear. He's trying to wash the stains on his own hands by rubbing them onto the PMLN's sleeves. That's why Khawaja Muhammad Asif is the first one visibly panicking. We'll have to see in the coming days what fate awaits him and what happens next. The next news, Mariam Aurangzeb had gone to Japan on a very short and crisp visit, and our sources tell us she returned disappointed. A few days ago, there was a meeting between her and Mariam Nawaz to discuss the Japan visit scheduled for August 15th to 17th. But the Japanese side wasn't very receptive. Mariam Aurangzeb has come back with the bad news that there will be no queen-like treatment. In fact, the reception will be rather cold. So now, the visit is being reconsidered and might even be postponed. Mariam Aurangzeb had been sent ahead like bait on a hook to test the ground reality, and she's come back disheartened. According to our sources, the enthusiasm is now missing. She had written a letter to the Pakistan Air Force, which some might think was a rumour, but we have that actual letter. In it, she requested a plane from August 15th with a 2-day stop in Thailand on the way and a 2-day stop in Singapore on the return. The contents, date and number of the letter, we have it all. If anyone challenges our report, we'll publish the letter. Let's see if the Japan visit happens or if it gets cancelled amidst the chaos behind the scenes. Mariam Nawaz was expecting VIP-level protocol, but now that's unlikely. We'll update you soon on how she plans to proceed. Meanwhile, within a few hours of me speaking to you, Field Marshal Sahib will land in the United States in Florida, specifically at the CENTCOM headquarters. He's attending farewell ceremonies for General Kurilla, which include a dinner, a lunch and a formal change of command ceremony. This is a 1.5-day event, and he has travelled from Pakistan to Tampa, Florida for it. We don't yet know if he'll visit Washington, D.C. or meet other officials, but it's clear that his primary purpose is to attend the CENTCOM military farewell event. He may try to squeeze in other meetings too. In Pakistan, it's already been decided that the entire corruption narrative will be pinned on the PMLN, so the military can appear clean again. Let's see what happens in the United States. Back to corruption. We've talked about corruption in edible oil, sugar, wheat, and how politicians are always blamed. But on the other hand, let's talk about a new appointment. A senior general, Lieutenant General Zafar Iqbal, who is an air defence expert, not an engineer, and with no energy or power sector background, has been appointed head of the task force on energy and power sector reforms. I don't understand. What does someone with expertise in air defence have to do with energy and power? But as always in Pakistan, generals are rewarded regardless of qualification. He's now in charge of the country's most lucrative department where big money flows, probably the biggest money-making sector. A bit of his background, he served as commander of Army Air Defence Command. He was promoted to Major General in March 2020, then to Lieutenant General in October 2022. He was appointed Chairman of Punjab Public Service Commission in January 2021. He served as National Coordinator of the National Flood Response and Coordination Centre in 2022. Currently, he is National Coordinator of the Task Force on Power Sector and Energy Reforms, appointed August 2024. Despite having no experience in engineering, energy or power, he's now overseeing the entire reform process in that sector. His only tool? A stick, authority, which he can use to beat you, arrest you or strip you down figuratively or literally. Isn't that enough? What other expertise do you need? The blame game continues. So yes, the goal is to dump all corruption on PMLN, even if the military itself leaves no institution untouched. Whether it's land, water or power, they dominate and profit from it all. Wherever they get a chance, they place their horses, their men, and run the show as they please. More shocking news coming up. Let me tell you another story, perhaps even bigger. Let's talk about Bitcoin. The department responsible for managing Pakistan's nuclear assets, the SPD or Strategic Plans Division, is now also overseeing Bitcoin mining. Yes, that's right, and the coordination is being done by the ISI, Pakistan's Inter-Services Intelligence. So imagine intelligence plus nuclear assets plus Bitcoin. With that kind of force behind it, Bitcoin doesn't stand a chance. It'll mine itself out of fear. If Bitcoin doesn't obey the SPD, they'll drop an atom bomb. If it doesn't listen to the ISI, well, you already know. So yes, while we were complaining about air defense generals being put in charge of energy, now SPD and ISI are in charge of Bitcoin mining. But the corruption files, still the only files being prepared and acted upon are against PMLN. Of course, there must be files on others too. Maybe they're just sitting in diaries for now. No one will question them, but they're worth writing down in the history books. These are not small things. One more feat to mention. Let's not forget another news item. Our very beloved, sharp-featured and handsome DG ISPR, General Sharif, is planning a visit to Rawalpindi Medical University, RMC. But before he arrives, a threatening letter has been sent to the university. All students must be informed not to bring mobile phones. They say, "We want you, but we're scared of your phones." Why? Because if a video is made, it might get leaked, and they fear that. The letter has been shown not only to students, but also to the official photographer, just in case someone secretly records the DG. So here's my advice to RMC students. Get a spy camera cap from Raja Bazaar. Doctors are creative. Figure something out, make that video no matter what. We're all waiting to see what DG Sharif says at the event that they're so afraid of being recorded. Once you get the video, upload it to social media or email us. The whole world will see it. That wraps up our translation of Shahbaz Gill's video. I hope this English version helped you understand his message better. Please like, share and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.